Imagine if you could predict the future of the stock market. Sounds like a superpower, doesn't it? Well, some people in Washington might just happen to have that ability. My chief financial analyst does too here, which is why we're up 93% so far this year, but more on that in a moment. In early July, picture this. It's early July, and Paul Pelosi, the husband of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, decides to sell off a hefty chunk of Visa shares. We're talking over $500,000 in shares. Now, it's not unusual for a chap with deep pockets, but it gets a little juicier than that. Fast forward to September 24th, and boom, the Department of Justice drops an antitrust lawsuit on Visa like a ton of bricks. Coincidence? Maybe. But it's got more people raising eyebrows than, a Botox convention. And you might be thinking, Felix, are you saying that Paul Pelosi's got a crystal ball hidden in his sock drawer? Yes, but it makes you wonder where he got it from, doesn't it? Is it just another case of impeccable timing that seems to run in the family, or is there more to this story than meets the eye? So we're about to dive into this perfectly coincidental masterclass of stock selling. We'll unpack the Department of Justice's lawsuit, examines Visa's market dominance, and explore the broader implications for congressional stock trading. And by the end of this video, you'll have more insider knowledge than Paul Pelosi's sock drawer. So let's dive into the juicy details of this financial thriller. It's early July, and Paul Pelosi, husband of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, decides to offload about $500,000 plus of Visa shares. But there is a little bit more than that. It wasn't just sort of, God came to Mr. Pelosi in the middle of the night and said, Paul, my friend, you should sell your Visa shares. No, there were others who had the same impeccable timing. Our old friend Ro Khanna and Michael McCall, both of those two again, they've been busy too. Khanna, the Democrat from California, sold off some Visa shares in early July. Meanwhile, McCall, the Republican from Texas, was practically a Visa stock-selling machine with multiple transactions in July and August. And here is where it gets interesting. Just weeks after this flurry of stock sales by Washington's finest insider traders, the Department of Justice drops this antitrust lawsuit on Visa. Coincidence? Well, that's what Nancy Pelosi stock person would have you believe. Their statement was a masterclass in political spin. Here it is. Speaker Pelosi does not own any stock, and she has no prior or subsequent involvement in any transactions. Well, that clears everything up, doesn't it? I'm so sorry I ever made any implication. I take it all back. We are completely wrong, aren't we, Tallulah? Completely wrong. Yes, we are wrong. Because married couples don't talk about money over dinner, right? Never. No. I never mention to anyone when I'm, making money or losing money. No, I never do. Just me and Tallulah, So, what do we make of all of this? Is Paul Pelosi the actual oracle of Wall Street, move over Warren Buffett? Maybe he's just the luckiest man in America. I mean, that's a reasonable explanation, right? And Khanna and McCall, well, they all stumbled upon a four-leaf clover in the rose garden of the Capitol that morning that had written on it, "Sell Visa." Right? Well, one thing's for sure. If I had a crystal ball that accurate, I'd be probably up 930%, not just 93% this year. So maybe I need to run for Congress. Do they allow foreigners in? Probably not, right? Do they? I don't know. Anyway, I have no interest in politics. Complete waste of time. So why don't we hop back to this latest, hottest news, the September 24th Department of Justice drop bombshell. They slapped Visa with an antitrust lawsuit that's pretty juicy. Let me break it down for you. And I love the Visa stock. I have lots of it. So I made a video on it recently in which I said it's a brilliant stock. And then, I should obviously have followed the insider track in Washington first. But they're not just a big player in the debit card game. They're the Godzilla of plastic money. We're talking about a 60% market share of all debit card transactions in the US. That's pretty brilliant, isn't it? But Visa isn't just processing those transactions. They're raking in loads of money. We're talking about a cool $7 billion annually in processing fees. So Attorney General Merrick Garland didn't mince his words when he laid out the government's case. He said, and I quote, "We allege that Visa has unlawfully amassed the power to extract fees that far exceed what I could charge in a competitive market." In other words, Visa's been playing Monopoly with real money and possibly now real consequences. Garland went on to explain how this affects you and me. These inflated fees get passed down the line from merchants to banks to consumers. It's like a game of financial hot potato, and who's left to hold the spud at the end? That's right, it's you, the everyday shopper. But wait, there is more. The Department of Justice claims Visa's been playing dirty to keep its throne. They're accused of pricing their services in a way that makes it prohibitively expensive for merchants to use rival networks. So they've set up a toll booth on the financial highway and they're charging competitors Rolls-Royce prices to pass through. And if that wasn't enough, they also allege to be paying potential competitors to stay out of the market. It's like they're running a financial protection racket. Nice little payment network you've got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. You know, there could be a fire. You never know, the old Italian approach to life. So there you have it. Visa is not just processing transactions. They're apparently processing a whole load of controversy as well. It's a financial thriller. And Visa's stock price, oh boy, it did take a tumble. As of September 25th, a day after the Department of Justice dropped their lawsuit, Visa's stock price plummeted faster than my approval rating when I tell Winston he can't have another treat. He looks at me with very sad eyes. We're talking about a 7% nosedive, and that's pretty significant for a stock as big as Visa. So to put that into perspective, the drop didn't just erase a bad day or week, it wiped out all the gains Visa had made since August, since that little Japan disaster no one's mentioning anymore. But wait, there is more. Remember that Fed rate cut everyone was buzzing about, the one that was supposed to send stocks soaring like champagne corks? Well, for Visa, that potential celebration turned into a bit of a financial hangover. Any benefits they might have reaped from the rate cut, well, boom, gone. Bye-bye. Auf Wiedersehen. So it's like Visa showed up to the stock market party in their finest suit ready to celebrate and found out it was actually a roast. Don Rickles was there. And now I'm saying Visa is still a giant. They still run the financial world. They're still making the same profits. So there's a potential that they might have to pay a fine. But we've seen plenty of large companies, look at Google and Microsoft and so on, survive and thrive very nicely after the Department of Justice comes after them. And I don't remember who posted it the other day, but somebody did. And they said, if you don't have a few stocks in your portfolio that are being investigated or sued by the Department of Justice, you're probably not picking big enough winners. So what does it mean for you if you're holding Visa stock? Well, you might be feeling a bit queasy, but remember, the stock market is a roller coaster. You joined and you bought a ticket to a roller coaster. It's not a merry-go-round. If you want a merry-go-round, I don't know what you'd buy, but definitely not stocks. So it is a long game. And if we zoom out a bit and we look at this Pelosi saga, that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all this congressional insider trading. I would say we'll probably be fine with Visa in the long run. And I'm much more outraged than, Visa charging lots of money for their fees and having a 60% market share. Well, because it's just a brilliant business. It's just a really, really good service. And that's how you get to market dominance. And then, you try to keep people out. That's kind of called capitalism, right? And it's the government's job to make sure it doesn't get, completely out of hand. And I do think processing fees are probably a little high. They'll come down in the long run. And there'll be more of them. And so they'll be just fine, I think. And the actual processing costs for them will also go down because everything will be blockchain and there'll be no banks involved and so on. So it'll be probably just as profitable, maybe even more profitable. That's kind of my view. So what about those Muppets in Washington and with their crystal balls in the sock drawer? Well, if you go back a little bit, in 2020, we had senators making suspiciously timed trades right after receiving classified COVID-19 briefings. It's almost as if they had insider information we didn't have. Then there was, if you go back further, the 2008 financial crisis. Some members of Congress seem to have a sixth sense about the impending market collapse. They sold just before things got ugly. Another coincidence, of course. And you might be thinking, surely there must be rules against this. Well, yes, sort of. There is the Stock Act of 2012. It stands for Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge. Seriously, that's what it comes for. And it is supposed to prevent insider trading by members of Congress. But it has about as many teeth as a newborn puppy. It's been criticized for its lack of enforcement and more loopholes than a crochet convention. It's like trying to catch a greased pig with your hands tied behind your back. Enough analogies? Probably, right? So let's talk about our star player for a moment, Nancy herself. Her past stance on congressional stock trading is interesting. She's been quoted as saying, "We're a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that." It's a bit like saying we're a free country. US politicians should be able to print their own money. It's kind of what they're doing, isn't it? But wait, there is a twist. Recently, Pelosi's become one of the biggest supporters of banning stock trading for members of Congress. Seriously. So what's the takeaway? Well, as the old saying goes, who needs a financial advisor when you have a seat in Congress? It seems like our esteemed representatives, well, yours, not mine, have trading skills that would make all of us green with envy. And I'm up 93% this year. I didn't see the visa thing coming. But jokes aside, it is a serious issue. It's about trust. It's about transparency. It's about corruption. It's about the integrity of the US system. And when the lawmakers are playing the market like a game of Monopoly with insider information, I think it's not surprising that public trust is kind of, on shaky ground. So the next time you're struggling with your investment decisions or your stock is down, just remember, you're not a member of Congress. You don't have access to classified briefing or insider information, but hey, look on the bright side. At least you're not under constant scrutiny for your stock trade. And you don't have to worry about that $200 fine if you don't report your trade, because that's the fine if you don't report your trade as a member of Congress. $200 US. You sell $500,000 worth of stock on Visa on probably insider information. Obviously not alleging it, but it's a possibility, Love Paul and Nancy, they're the best people in the world. You think that covers me? Probably. But if they had not disclosed it at all, well, they would have gotten a $200 parking ticket at the end of the year. So what do? We snigger, we laugh. We hope one day the US public finds it within their hearts to elect people who have more common sense. And in the meantime, we focus on ourselves and how we can look after ourselves and our families and our loved ones and how we can make money for ourselves, get to financial freedom and run our portfolio as best as humanly possible. That's really what I do. And then I like to share it with people because I get a kick out of seeing other people do well, and it's insanely satisfying. So come and join our hopefully soon to be million people that we help to get towards financial freedom and learn how we do what we do at felixfriends.org/challenge. It's for beginners. I assume absolutely bugger all knowledge, and it's on Wednesday and Thursday this week. So it's completely free of charge. I hope to see you over there, and I thank you for watching.